Good evening. You're watching Ukraine Brief on TVP World. It has been 1,370 days since Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. My name is Sasha Farbach, and here's the latest. Ukraine and the European Commission have unveiled a 10-point reform plan that will steer Kyiv's EU accession bid over the next 2 years. Ministers meeting in Lviv say Ukraine's membership remains on track and inevitable, despite Hungary's objections. Here's more from our correspondent, Angela Skujins, in Lviv today.
The EU will not waste any time advancing Ukraine's EU accession bid. These were the words from the EU's enlargement chief, Marta Koz, in Lviv at the tail end of talks centering on whipping up support for Ukraine as well as its application to join the European Union. The war-torn country launched its bid in 2022 following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. However, its progress has been stalled by a stubborn bloc spearheaded by the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. However, a 10-point list of reforms has been cooked up by the Ukrainian government and the European Commission. Ukraine has 2 years to complete this list, which aims to put the country in good stead to join the EU when and if Hungary drops its veto. Let's take a listen to what the European Commissioner for Enlargement, Marta Koz, said about what this list entails.
They all focus on strengthening the rule of law, fighting corruption and building the strong, accountable democratic institutions in Ukraine. And these institutions Ukraine needs for the future accession process.
In his stead, what is clear is that while Ukraine has 2 years to complete the 10-point reforms, there is no telling when the Hungarian government, led by Prime Minister Viktor Orban, will drop its bloc. Angela Skujins from Lviv for TVP World.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said Kyiv has sent the U.S. an updated peace plan, including security guarantees and a reconstruction agreement. However, according to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S. proposed Ukraine peace framework includes restoring Russian energy supplies to Europe. The newspaper also reports that the U.S. wants $200 billion of Russian assets frozen in Europe to be used for Ukraine's reconstruction. The American plan was presented in the annexes to the peace proposal, which have not been made public. The document also contains plans to build a large data center in Ukraine that would be powered by the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which currently is under Russian control. The annexes supposedly also say that American companies would invest in various Russian sectors, including rare earth mining and oil exploration in the Arctic region. Overnight, Russia launched 151 drones and 3 Iskander ballistic missiles. Ukraine reportedly intercepted 83 drones and 2 missiles, while the remaining drones and missiles struck 34 locations across the country. 4 people were killed and at least 20 were wounded in the attack. In the Sumy region at around 11 a.m. local time, Russian forces dropped a guided aerial bomb on a store in the Velika Pisarivka community, killing 2 women and injuring 2 others. The strike hit while shoppers were inside, causing major destruction and a fire. The bodies of the 2 victims, a store employee and a local resident, were recovered from under the rubble, while another shop worker who was inside at the time of the attack survived. In another attack in the Kherson region in southern Ukraine, Russian strikes killed 1 person and wounded 10 others. Russian forces also targeted energy infrastructure in the Odessa and Poltava regions overnight. Though Ukrainian authorities have not disclosed the extent of the damage, other attacks across Odessa, Chernihiv, Kharkiv, and Donetsk regions caused fires at energy facilities and damaged homes and administrative buildings, injuring more than 10 people. Ukrainian drone strikes have hit a chemical plant in the Russian city of Veliki Novgorod and a major oil platform belonging to Lukoil in the Caspian Sea. Social media footage shows the blaze that erupted at the Akron chemical plant in Russia overnight. Located between Moscow and St. Petersburg, the facility manufactures industrial products, including materials with potential dual-use applications and explosives production. While Russian military tallies report air defenses brought down 287 Ukrainian drones during the night, among them 19 of the Novgorod region, footage shows that drones managed to bypass Russian air defenses and hit the plant. Additionally, at least 4 drones struck one of Lukoil's largest oil rigs, which produces roughly 120,000 barrels a day. Lukoil has yet to comment on the attack. While it remains unclear where the drones were launched from, the Caspian Sea lies more than 700 kilometers from Ukraine's nearest border. On Wednesday, Ukraine's security service struck an oil tanker belonging to Russia's shadow fleet in the Black Sea. The Dashan tanker was hit and disabled in the Black Sea while sailing at maximum speed toward the Russian port of Novorossiysk, with its tracking system switched off. Footage released by Ukraine's security service shows explosions tearing through the stern of the vessel. Ukrainian authorities say the tanker, worth about $30 million, has been critically damaged and is likely out of service. The ship had already been sanctioned by several Western nations for transporting Russian oil. This marks the 3rd attack in 2 weeks on vessels from Russia's shadow fleet, which bypasses sanctions to fund the war. Additionally, on December 10th, Ukraine's state security detained a cargo ship in Odessa that had been transporting Ukrainian grain from occupied Crimea. And that concludes this edition of Ukraine Brief. But as ever, stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.